Mick Schumacher didn't have the machinery to make a big impression during his first Formula 1 season with Haas, with no points and a best finish of just 12th. But during his largely anonymous season in a back-of-the-grid team that was focusing all of its development resources on 2022, there were some promising signs, what Schumacher himself calls hidden wins. So what were those hidden wins? What do they tell us about Schumacher, and could his reputation for being much stronger in the second season in a category, combined with the expected improvement for Haas next year, mean he could be on for a more eye-catching season in 2022? While comparisons with his legendary father, 7-times world champion Michael, were constant during 2021, Mick didn't have the benefit either of a Jordan 191 or race-winning Benetton machinery for his first 22 races in F1. While Schumacher Sr. won the 1992 Belgian Grand Prix and took a further 7 podium finishes on his way to third in the World Championship in his first full season, Mick has not had the machinery to make such a big impact. Given any comparison with his father is therefore completely unfair, we need to look beyond the mere results to assess the quality of Mick's rookie season. That brings us to what Schumacher calls the hidden wins he believes feed not only into his progress, but also that of the Haas team. So let's have a look at some of those wins. First and foremost is the fact that Schumacher was emphatically the stronger Haas driver. He outpaced teammate Nikita Mazepin in qualifying in 20 out of 22 events, with the 2 occasions that he didn't the result of not so hidden mistakes. These were in Monaco and Hungary, where crashes during free practice 3 caused damage that kept him out of qualifying entirely. But for the most part, Schumacher performed well in qualifying. He twice reached Q2, albeit once at Paul Ricard, assisted by his own crash that denied those behind him the chance to improve on their second runs. Not that he was able to participate in Q2 that day thanks to that crash. His second appearance in Q2 was in Turkey, while he also finished the season with several strong showings threatening Alfa Romeo and Williams drivers. His pace compared to Mazepin was strong, with an adjusted average advantage of 0.58%, equating to a gap of 0.464 seconds over a hypothetical 80-second lap. He also had a clear advantage over Mazepin in the races, finishing ahead 11 times out of the 14 when both Haas drivers finished. Schumacher picks out the Turkish Grand Prix weekend, where he reached Q2, and the Qatar Grand Prix, where Haas had probably its strongest weekend, among his highlights. He also enjoyed his battle with Max Verstappen's damaged Red Bull in the Hungarian Grand Prix, a race where Schumacher finished 12th having run in the points for 24 laps. While it might not sound like much, those were the only 24 laps a Haas spent in the points positions all year. Schumacher also impressed with the quality of his feedback, as well as his ability to minimise time lost to blue flags, particularly through his ability to maintain tyre temperature through such phases. While there was the occasional error, notably crashing under the safety car at Imola but being able to recover to the pits, Schumacher proved to be a consistent and usually dependable performer during his rookie season. Aside from a fractious relationship with Mazepin, it was an encouraging first year for Schumacher despite the lack of results. We will get on to what signs there are for further progress from Schumacher in a moment, but first a quick thank you for watching this video. If you're enjoying it, make sure you hit like, and for more from the race, consider subscribing to our channel. This is what allows us to do what we do, and we've got lots of videos in the pipeline for you to enjoy. While Schumacher has made a solid start to his F1 career, he still has a long way to go if he's ever to realise his ambition of becoming a Ferrari driver. The 22-year-old has been on the Ferrari Driver Academy's books since the start of 2019, and his stint at Haas is just the start of his process of education in F1. But Schumacher has a history of taking a big step in his second season in categories. This has proved to be the case in Formula 4, Formula 3 and Formula 2 on his way to Formula 1. It's safe to assume he will do better in his second season than in his first, as that's the usual pattern with rookies as experience builds. But there was one isolated case study this year in the back-to-back events at the Red Bull Ring, where Schumacher made the biggest improvement in qualifying lap time from the Styrian to the Austrian Grand Prix weekend of all drivers. It's not much to go on, but it's all we've got. What's clear is that Schumacher has an intelligent and rigorous approach, which should allow him to learn from his difficult rookie campaign and apply those lessons next year. His improvement during 2021 also bodes well, particularly the late season qualifying performances that suggested he'd reached a significantly higher level than at the start of the season. But there is an added dimension to Schumacher's 2022 season, given he will be Ferrari's reserve driver for 11 races. He will share that role with Antonio Giovinazzi, who is only able to attend 12 races thanks to his other racing commitments. While Schumacher is unlikely to be called upon, and if he is, Haas has Pietro Fittipaldi under contract as reserve, it is a measure of the confidence Ferrari now has in him, with team principal Mattia Binotto impressed with his rookie season progress. Although Ferrari is unlikely to have an available berth for some years, Schumacher is still being closely monitored, meaning it's doubly important he continues to make progress in 2022. Schumacher still has a long way to go in F1. His first season was certainly a decent one, but it also wasn't at the level of the great debut campaigns for a future star in the back of the grid car. He's no Fernando Alonso. But given his history, we can expect a good step forward in 2022. Regardless of whether Schumacher himself is up to fighting for points finishes next year, much will depend on the quality of the Haas. The 2021 season was all about doing the bare minimum with the car, updating the 2020 machine for the modified aerodynamic regulations. That resulted in comfortably the slowest car in the field, and a season to be endured rather than enjoyed. But that sacrifice was made in the expectation that by pouring almost all of its resources into the 2022 car for the new technical regulations, Haas can take a step forward. That's what Schumacher is depending on. But helped by Schumacher's professionalism and approach, Haas was able to remain a credible F1 team through a difficult season. It can be expected to be stronger next year, it's simply a question of how much better, and whether it will be quick enough to be a points threat. Haas could be a dark horse in F1's midfield, and based on the evidence of 2021, in Schumacher it has a driver who is capable of taking reasonable advantage of a competitive car. Let us know in the comments what you think of Schumacher's rookie season, and what you expect from him and the Haas team next year.